zviri muaudit report yaauditor general zvandiri kutaura. Vamwe vaitengera vakadzi vavo vhudzi rekubrazil, vamwe vaitenga chii zvichiita zvakadini zvakadaro. Ndobva vatadza kana kugadzira kana road imwe chete kusvika parizvi. Ndokutanga kudya mari iya semushonga wemusana zvisina saka.
Moody say, can you tell me Moody say? Moody say, can you tell me Judy say? Mama get to Moody say, Moody say. Boy. Moody say, yeah. Incoming. Ndenge Maradona, ndenge ndichidisha ndichipasa ndichigona, inga mnozviziva anomakwane bhora, vanenge vachizama kundisendera magora tumahora asi zvinhu zvatinoona mnasamora.
Thank you so much for making time for me, man. Very rarely do people get a chance to get on a mayor, so the most interesting thing for me is that we made you wait for a little bit before that time. The most interesting thing for me is, what does a day in the life of the mayor look like? What does your day look like now? And not that you're out of office, but what does a day when you're in office? When you're not fighting anyone, you're not fighting local government or Mungo in Obasa, what does that day look like?
Well, when you're a mayor, when I was a mayor, the day, it's a busy time. Because this town has got a lot of things. It's the rainy season. Now you're talking about water problems, sewer problems. You get the call, there's no water in this area. There are sewer problems. Then the roads become bad, drainage problems. People complain to you about these issues.
Yeah.
Then you've got labor problems, salaries, and so forth. Then you have individual problems, people with their individual problems, a dispute over a stand, noise at some place, music at some places. We're going into the festive season, some of the nightclubs are so noisy. Also, churches are very noisy as they try to convert their neighbors through all sorts of
through all-night
prayers and all that. So you get a situation where these complaints come and people complain about so and so parking. Right now, if someone has got a number and they've got their vehicle clamped, they immediately phone and say, "Hey, Mayor, by phone here, I know you, can you talk to this person?" And then before you know it, the day is over. Trying to solve the problems of the city. You have calls from government officials complaining, you've got tweets coming in about someone having done that or you having done this, things that you don't know about, and then in between you're trying to juggle your family life, your kids at school, your wife wants this, and we don't get a salary as mayors. In Zimbabwe we have a fiction that one of the biggest and oldest cities in Africa can be managed by a ceremonial mayor. So you get an allowance, you hardly have any money to deal with school fees and things like that. So I run a law firm on the side, so you try to also put in some work at the law firm so that you avoid the temptation of corruptions and stuff like that, so that you get a bit of work. It's one of the only cities where the mayor is ceremonial and is being paid. It employs 10,000 people. It's the second biggest real estate owner after government. We have hospitals. We facilitate the births of 3,000 babies every month. Water, roads, vehicles.
That might be the biggest company in the city then. That's 10,000 employees.
After government we are.
What sort of revenues is City of Harare working with?
Well, it could work with a whole lot more. We just under $1 billion per annum, and give or take depending on the efficiency of our collection. But we are the second biggest company after government, second biggest real estate owner. Government, we own more hospitals. We compete with government in relations to babies We anchor the vaccination program. We have over 200,000 kids in primary school every day. We have police, over 1,500 policemen patrolling.
And that's aside from ZRP, that's council
That's
police.
council police guarding national key points and doing development control. Harare over 45 wards now, political wards.
No boys really remain in town.
Yeah, no boys in town. So we have a lot of those police, municipal police. So it's a huge operation. Over 800 nurses that we control. We've got the biggest mechanical plant in Southern Africa, outside South Africa, which is Morton Jeffrey. The capacity, installed capacity of 600 megaliters per day. We used to have a road network longer than most countries.
But now some of it is road, some of it is dust.
Yeah, well, it's now a memory because you have to simply remember that there used to be a road here and people move. But that's all up to Zinara. And then we have over 30,000 units of houses as a city council. And we used to own, or we still own, 110 megawatt power station, a coal power station just on the outskirts, which was taken by ZESA without paying a single cent. It's got an installed capacity of 110 megawatts and stuff like that. We own the biggest dam in Harare, which was built in the 1950s, Lake Chivero. The last dam to be built by government was in 1976, Lake Manyami. Since then, no dam has been built for the city of Harare and the greater Harare area. So
you talk about city council as a business in a way that I've never heard it being talked about. Like strictly like this is a big business, and as a mayor you're the CEO of this big business.
but the board chair.
Or the board chair, I suppose. You're the board chair, and your town clerk is your CEO. And when you talk about, let's say, ZESA not paying for the power plant that they took over from you, for the rest of us on the outside, it feels like these are intergovernment transactions. Why does it not feel that way? Why did you feel like you needed to get paid? Because overly, Anti-ZESA is just to help Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's the mentality where we need to get out of in Africa. Nothing is for free. Someone built that. We took money from the residents to build the power station. So it belongs to you, the taxpayer. I am simply managing it for you. And I have no right to give it away without consulting you.
100%.
And the irony of it all is that we built a 110 megawatt power station, which was supposed to give us power to run Morton Jeffrey, to run street lighting, and to sell to the residents. What happens is that ZESA took it for free. The residents now are paying $1 million US to do the water, electricity for the water. We need about 34 megawatts per day for Morton Jeffrey. We need about 6 megawatts per day for the street lighting. Immediately when ZESA took the power station, the next day they sent us a bill for electricity. It's like someone taking your milking cows, and then the next day your child goes with a bucket of milk,
and they're like, we need money.
We need money. But this is your cows. So now we are paying for the electricity. We are not getting royalties. This was an asset, and then it was not only that asset. It was also the cabling. All the cabling in this town was done by the city of Harare. The cabling in the houses, the cabling, and then not only that, all the district offices, the building opposite Jameson was built by the city of Harare. The Malcolm, what is that street? No. The megawatt was Zesapeji. Wayne Street. Wayne Street was built by the residents. It was taken for free. They are refusing to pay rentals, but they are sending a bill for electricity from property Someone wrote on a piece of paper, a bond paper, and said, I am president, therefore this goes to ZESA. And it went.
That's like that guy, apparently in Zimbabwe you can just wake up and decide
Chabangu.
Chabangu. Just woke up and decide that he's recalling
Yeah.
something.
So it's very funny that, and the residents say nothing.
Yeah.
And the reason why I've been highlighting it is that electricity for us used to be a book entry. So you just record from the Harare power station today, we got 25 megawatts.
Yeah.
You send it to Morton Jeffrey. Morton Jeffrey pumps the water, and then it is paid for at the end of the chain. And then everything is onkidori, the residents have subsidized themselves.
Yeah.
But you create a whole institution that is parasitic.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse, we used to have a street light levy that we used to build the street lights and pay for the lighting of the streets. Somebody converted it to the rural electrification
Agency.
fund.
Oh, really?
Okay?
Yeah.
And then started taking the money from Harare and putting electricity in the rural areas and removing electricity from Harare, where the bulk of that money for that rural electricity fund is coming from.
Yeah.
So you are paying a levy on the use of electricity as Harare. We are the biggest users. We are paying the most into that fund, and we get zilch. Someone takes the electricity, not to say a chief shouldn't get electricity, but takes our fund, follows some rural administrator into the middle of the bund to
put
give them
baguettes in there.
electricity. Where you're getting the money, there's darkness all over.
Yeah.
So they don't share. We've been saying, look, why don't you give us 50% of that so that we can continue developing the street lights and paying for the electricity that is used for the street lighting. Which is what happened with the roads. Yesterday, but one, Zinara put out a notice.
That they were giving you $1 billion, or giving City of Harare $1 billion.
8 billion
8 billion.
Zim dollars.
Which
RTGS.
which is about $1 million.
Which is about $1 million for the whole year.
Yeah.
Okay. It is, I call that a notice of criminality, a looting committee notice, whereby you announce how much money you have stolen from people and they are supposed to smile.
Yeah.
They are,
Like we are now.
yeah, we have 800,000 cars, according to our estimate as the city, in Harare. Each one pays a minimum of 20 US per term. And every year we give Zinara 64 million US dollars in vehicle licenses. Then they give us 1 million. They are also in charge of the fuel levy. Fuel in Harare or in Zimbabwe is sold strictly in US dollars. They collect the whole fuel levy. They don't give us a single cent in US dollars. According to their 2015 audit report, Harare gives them about 64 million US dollars of its component in fuel levy. We get zero of it. And they put out a notice last week where we got zero. That was a notice of criminality. Is it? They also get carbon tax. Carbon tax, I don't know how much it comes up to per year. They give us zero of that carbon tax. Therefore, unlike all the big cities in the world, we can't even put things that measure the air quality.
Yeah.
So that we can announce, if you're traveling in a radio station in UK or elsewhere, they'll tell you the air quality on that day because they've got gadgets. And they will tell you, they will penalize, drive after heavy polluters, penalize them. We can't do that because this money is taken by Zinara and is eaten.
So what are these organizations? I know there's Radiation Authority of Zimbabwe, for instance. What are those institutions doing? Because some of them, I'm guessing some of this is figuring out who's in charge of what. So for instance, when something moves from City of Harare to Ministry of Energy, but to ZESA specifically, for me as a citizen in the country, it shouldn't make a difference. Because like you're saying, these things belong to me, or partially to me. But the things that belong to ZESA also belong partially to me, because ZESA is not a privatized institution. So why is there no more cohesion Why does it matter so much who's actually
Because there are
controlling it?
thieves there.
Oh.
You see, they, they are looting.
Yeah.
They steal. These things, why? You see, these things were set up. These cities, we are not reinventing the wheel. These are things that are there the rest of the world.
Yeah.
These things were set up and they operate. We are just a middle-sized city, if not a small city, okay, in the context of what you call world cities now. Let's just copy. Our duty is simply to copy best international practice.
Yeah.
We then change things and create our own Zimbabwe practice where everybody suffers.
Yeah.
In every country, a municipality is the one that provides energy for its people,
Yeah.
and then pays the utility. Why do you have to do that? So that ZESA can concentrate on mass production. It's like your what do you call it? Your Delta
Yeah.
or your distributor going to the shops and wanting to sell
Yeah.
the Coca-Cola personally.
Yeah.
That's what ZESA is doing. It wants to produce en masse and it goes to sell 1 cent of electricity. It's not geared for such an operation. Just like Coca-Cola is not geared or
That's
Delta
what
to be selling. Can you imagine from Atlanta
Yeah.
trying to sell one single bottle, or from here in Harare sitting there and saying we are running all the
Operation.
tuck shops? No. What you do is they've got to sell electricity on a wholesale basis, so that you are able to say, as the city of Harare, we want 100 megawatts per day.
Yeah.
The city of Harare then pays. So they know that they have a guaranteed supply of this type of electricity to the city of Harare, and they are paying, and that's how all others, the system work.
Yeah.
So that we as the city know where we are taking the electricity and giving water, and we pay. So this model is wrong. Someone went to school in Germany or some such other communist country, comes back having written a thesis for old professors there, and changes the whole DNA
Yeah.
of how a city is operating.
So the flip side to that is, I would imagine if I was sitting with someone from the other side, and I asked them, "Kuti, why is it that way?" You'd get some pushback on the fact that we also don't think that City of Harare is a well-run institution. Do you think, from a base level, before we go into the intricacies, would you say that City of Harare is well-run?
Well,
Not necessarily just under you,
yeah,
but
there are
over
issues.
the
There are
course.
issues with how we are running the city.
Okay.
I think we are not efficient as we ought to be. We are not automated. We have not joined the new generation. There are too many manual things, and then manual things. The analog generation belongs to the other century. We should have become digital, reduced the personal interface. That would reduce corruption. That will reduce unnecessary inefficiency, and that will bring uniformity to the services that we are giving to the people, and then interrelatedness, and also what you call it, digitalization makes things cheaper, and you collect more money. So you can't run. You see, technology ought to make Africa jump certain stages that other countries went through. So like what we did with the cell phones, we jumped a stage where we had to put lines in every household like what the other world did. Because now your head boy can head cows with a cell phone. Your illegal gold miner can mine things. You can be in touch. So it's the same. We should adopt the same mentality.
So there's technology.
There's technology gap.
Yeah.
There's inefficiency. The level of training, old methods, fossilized individuals who are there who look like they've arisen from the mummy.
And a lot of them acting.
A lot of them acting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, brutality in terms of we still have the colonial mentality in our policing. We believe that policing is running after someone and beating the hell out of them for a civil infringement.
Yeah.
And part of it is the lack of the use of technology to say that, look, your car is there, we've taken a picture, this is your address. The interrelatedness of our databases.
Yeah.
You don't need to chase after a combi until it causes an accident and harms people or kills a person. You just need to take a picture of the number plate, write the infringement, go to the database at the central vehicle registration, send it to the individual, have a patrol car, a police car monitoring, sees your cars on the road. My friend, you've got tickets worth $100 on your car. We are sorry, say we might have to impound your car, or you've got 7 days to deal with this infringement. If you don't do that, we might have to summon you to court.
Yeah.
That's how a civilized country operates.
100%. I think the one thing you didn't mention, but that we'll talk about now, is the corruption. And not necessarily, when people hear corruption, they think about the corruption that happens at OPC level or at mayoral level, etc. But the corruption of the actual agents that you have. So just outside, when you were coming in, you saw we had a burst pipe just outside my house. The city of Harare workers, well, actually it's outside now. I saw them looking at you like, what they've been trying to do this whole time is tell us that we don't have this pipe, this new PVC, because there was a burst pipe. We don't have the pipe that's needed for this. And they go to workshop. But we get about $50, we can go and buy it, and then was poor Maria who got there. That is corruption at that level, and I would assume some of that is because of my working conditions. Some of that is corruption at level above the BTC.
It's a whole cocktail of problems that you have. One, because things are not digitalized, like I said, you have human interaction. What should happen? We should have a system that is able to identify the fault, name the prescription of that fault, and then it speaks to the database of our system. It speaks to the purchaser of those plastics, speaks to their store room to say, is there no such pipe, and speaks to the delivery of such a pipe, when it will be completed, and all that logged in through our database. So that they don't even need, in other countries, workers like this, they don't even need to go to a central point. He will be given his gets to work, he's given his van and told, you drive the van, this is what you need to take from stores for this particular fault. You will find it in the yard in the morning. He goes in, he solves it, solves the thing, logs in the hours that he has taken. If his hours are up, he goes home. If his hours are not up, he goes to another job. So,
but whose responsibility is it to put this system in place?
It is the responsibility of the councillors and the management. That's our responsibility. That's what we've been trying to do. I've been trying to get an enterprise resource package system up with many modules that will be able to communicate what I've been doing. That has been caught up in a web of corruption, tender preneurs, and hostility against me, because my argument was that the ERP system for our city are something that an Indian kid can do, a 13-year-old Indian kid can do at their house. That's how advanced. And part of the ERP we need to use can actually be developed by artificial intelligence nowadays.
All bought off a shelf.
All bought off the shelf. You give some whiz kid in India there, they'll give you a functioning ERP for a city such as ours. But you get prices of 50 million, 40 million, tenders to nowhere, and you get a system that even work. We have not produced an audit since 2019. Our bills are incoherent. You can't understand the bill from one month to the next month. It is haphazard. It is a clear definition of a dog's breakfast. But it requires a lot of willpower. And part of the reason why I'm probably not mayor is because of the things that I was pushing to try and cut into these cartels of inefficiency, cartels of corruption, whose tentacles spread far and wide. And we just need, you see, the lucky thing is that what we needed to do are things that have been done before by other cities. And we simply need to copy. We don't need to improve. We don't need to adapt.
You can call your guy
we
in
just
Joburg and
need,
say, Marushanzo system
we
for
just,
this particular
we
function.
don't need to be geniuses to run a city the size of Harare. We just need to copy and copy very well. And if we do that, this will be one of the most pleasant.
There's something that we're going around that I want us to zone in on. We just go to whose issue is this specifically? And like you're saying, you were trying to push these things, and I'm guessing you're facing resistance. You're talking about my quotation, number 50 million, 40 million. And in the context of the city of Harare, allegedly, and you can confirm that for us, lost 194 million to not having that ERP
We've
system.
lost more.
We've lost more.
We don't know what money we are bringing in.
Yeah.
We only know the money that we use. We have a system riddled with. There's no system actually.
Yeah.
There's no system.
So who's refusing for this system?
It's
the
the
mayor saying,
management.
I want it,
The management. It's a management's paradise.
the management,
The management
in
the middle, and even at the top. They are dilly-dallying. They can become unnecessarily confused.
So these are your subordinates, basically.
These are our subordinates, basically. But you see, the problem is that with our act, it gives a lot of power to the town clerk and the other subordinates. So what you find is that there's resistance, because I think if I was also the town clerk in senior management, this would be a management paradise where the board does not know how much money I have brought in. All I have to tell them every month is that this month it's hard. Last month we made 20 million. This month 6. We don't know, bruh. So and you can't say. So what happened? Who did not pay? What happened? You are confused. So
who appoints the town clerk? The mayor is chosen from the council.
Yeah, the mayor chooses. The town clerk is appointed. It's one of the weird Zimbabwean systems.
Okay.
Where we are supposed to select 3 people, then we take them to our father figure, the Ministry of Local Government, and then the Ministry of Local Government does a strange game of pinky pongy. Father had a donkey died. Father cried, I choose this one. And then he tells you that this is the one I've chosen. He's not obliged to give you reasons. He can choose the one you put number 1. He can choose the number 1 you put number 3. Or he can refuse all of the above and say do it again. So it is the weirdest system that one can ever come across. We have a situation where we win the cities, the government lose the cities. Then they come to supervise those that have won. So you've got a supervisor who has a direct benefit in you not doing your job well.
Yeah.
So
because if you don't do your job well, they win the next election.
They win the next election. Yeah. So you're being supervised by the person whom you have beaten. It's like Usain Bolt being coached by the person who is brilliant. He beats him, and then you're told, no, this is your coach. So it's a weird. Again, it's something that has to be changed, that has to be reformed. But that duality of reporting, that duality of fatherhood, makes the town clerk and senior management also confused. They don't really know who their father is. It needs what's his name, Mugabe, of the DNA thing to come to advise them, to tell them who really is their father in these instances. And if you were to
then they test the town clerk, are you
born out of the city of Harare, or you are born out of the Zanu PF government, or the Triple C seat of Harare, or you are. And in most cases, you find kuti hapana chedu
Yeah.
chiri senior management ne town clerk.
Cool.
They are purely vana vechikombo.
Why are those guys always acting? Why does City of Harare not just appoint people?
Because we can't until this other father, comes and sleeps with the with the wife, for want of a better word, and so that we can produce the child.
And you're right, because when I was doing the breakfast show, we had a couple of different City of Harare people, my directors in different places. Would be, I'm acting, and then you'd ask a question, and you probe about something, because we really would probe. We had you on the show as well. And they're like, no, you know what? The thing is, in India, I'm acting right now.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that I can't do during. But you've been acting for 3 years.
Yeah. So what we have is a system where the government doesn't approve. Firstly, they don't approve. If you don't like a guy, for you to fire him, they have to approve.
Oh.
So they can take 4 years because of that parentage. That
and in 4 years, there's another.
That parentage, a lot of Zanu have blood in him. So you can't find any Zanu minister to sign that this person is fired. So if you can't fire this guy, you can't. It follows you can't employ another guy. So you have to elevate the juniors. Now, this junior can't also put a permanent place where he's coming from, because he doesn't know if he's going to be made permanent. So if he makes this person permanent, it means if another person gets that job, his job is already what? Is gone. So this one whom has been made interim also can't. So it is a domino effect right to the bottom, because you are interiming until you get to the what? To the top, and all these guys can't replace. So they end up doing 2 jobs at once, because I can replace Akuno. Kana tikazoita ma-interview akanyimwa basa iroro iwe wakonfirm angari pazasi zvotonzi mukoma kumusoro hamuna kuzasi hamuna chenda. So it is just it is a bad way to govern, negligent way to govern. It's spiting the nose. What is it? Cutting the nose to spite the face. So it is just. I mean, I went there from 2018, and I looked at it, and I realized that we try so hard as publics. People build nice houses, people work every day. They are the hardest workers. They make good yards. They try very hard to live in an ambience. They work almost all the time, and they want to have a good time. They want to live, but they just have not managed to run their cities in a better way.
You were there's a guy called Solomon Harudzipi on Twitter who was he said something about Munash. Do you have it close by? But basically the tweet was suggesting that they're trying to do something in city council so that they can bring Mafume back in to be mayor. I mean, my pieces that they're trying. It was almost, he didn't say that to his credit, but it was almost suggesting that you might be aligned the other way. After talking to you for as long as I have, I know that you're certainly not. But what is that about? You can read it.
Yeah, so he says last night, they're coming to City Council, Harare City Council, they want to fire Makone and Kudzi, and Mafume will be reinstated as mayor.
He's a prophet.
It seems that way.
Let him enjoy. Is he a prophet or prophetess?
The prophet.
The prophet.
Yeah.
Well.
But it's I'm interested about that dynamic in Zimbabwean politics, and you're obviously a politician. It seems like the easiest way to kick someone out of a space or to consider confusion is to say, but there's MPF. We've heard people say, Chamisa nigga. We've heard now, stuff like this. So it happens very often with a lot of different people. I've heard that about DT even at certain points. What is that about? And does it work on an internal level? Are you guys sure of each other?
No, we are sure it is that we are sure of Nelson Chamisa. His record speaks for himself. I'm sure of Tendai Biti. His record speaks to him for himself. I'm sure of myself. My record speaks to myself. My record in my CV is virtually made up of fighting against Zanu PF, not as people, but the practices that some of them engage in. And my principles are clear and consistent. We believe that Zimbabwe can be managed better in a less corrupt manner and better than what we are doing so far. So we're very clear on that score that we are determined to make sure that we deliver the change that the people require. Yes, in a struggle as long as ours, in a process as long as ours, some people will attempt to give you labels like this prophet Solo. Clearly does not share the same wisdom that Solomon in the Bible had. He is busy cutting babies in half and sending the other parts this side and the other part that side. We pray for Solomonic wisdom to this prophet Solomon. But we are very clear as to what needs to be done. Our record speaks for ourselves. Even before I was recalled by my colleagues from the mayorship, I was very clear what I would be doing, what I stand for, who I am against, what I am against, and that doesn't change. What might change are the positions that one is holding at any given time. It's a tumultuous period of time. I remember I went in for just 2 months and I was arrested. And I spent 50 days in jail. So it's a hard-hit area. If you come expecting massages in Africa as a politician, then you probably joined the wrong profession. No one is going to massage anyone. It is what it is. And we, until we create better politics, less toxic politics. Remember, we are talking about administrators who came from a bush war, who grew up in a refugee camp, whose formative ages were spent in a brutal. They don't know better. They actually might believe brutality is a way of life. We, the new generation, we are going to show them a different kind of politics, as we have shown. We can push for change without rancor, without violence, with just the force of ideas. We have not learned how to shoot a gun. We have not learned how to explode bombs. What we've done is to try and transform the Zimbabwean society in a peaceful fashion, in a development fashion. We can draw labels, but look, there are principles that we are guided by, and as long as we are around those principles, then we are not going to be deterred.
And you know the process of being recalled by your colleagues, like you said, how does that play out, and what reasons do they give, considering the constant efforts that you're making at this time, the things that you're pushing for? They understand these difficulties. You're explaining some of them to me for the first time, but they understand these difficulties better than anyone. So why do they then decide to recall you in that scenario?
Politics happens.
Politics happens internally.
Internally and externally.
Okay.
There are no hard feelings. It is what it is. They are not obliged to give you reasons. I was given none and did not expect any. What we do is that we when my mother gave birth to me, she didn't say, Mayor. No, she just gave birth to a son and bestowed certain principles in me. And whatever position my colleagues think I will be, and I have to work in, I will follow those principles. So we look at what we can contribute to society. It's like I always say to myself, whenever you are in a position and you think you are indispensable, just think that if you were to die today, will the world stop moving? And if you answer that question, then you realize that you must lower your expectations and you must not have a sense of entitlement, not only to positions, but you must not even have a sense of entitlement to life itself, because
It can end tomorrow.
it can end tomorrow and at any time. But what we believe is that if everything is done in good faith, we believe that we gave it our best shot to defend the assets of the residents. We will continue to defend the assets of the residents as an ordinary councillor representing my ward, and we give it our best shot.
The relationship between Harare Council and City Park, Easy Park here. Because there's this event that happened. First one, I went to the Easy Park, Park Baba Dara ticket. That's what I'm going to claim. She ends up on a parking. And then his argument was Nanzinemun Easy Park. The park up, Shanzi, Susu, and Shanjana.
Okay, the way it is, city parking is, it's no longer Easy Park. It's now called city parking. It's 100% owned by the city. So it's a corporate arm that deals with parking space and other aspects of the bylaws that would have given it. But there are, however, 26 traffic bylaws in the city that are supposed to be enforced. But City Park only enforces 2. The parking bylaw and the bylaw that penalizes you for not paying for the parking. Now the other bylaws that include stepping on the line of the parking, dangerous parking, parking in front of a fire hydrant, parking in front of a construction place. You know, there are a lot of bylaws that I can't see off the top of my head. Now that is the responsibility in terms of the laws of those bylaws. That's the responsibility of the Municipal Police that is employed by the city. City parking, yes, we own it 100%, but it's a private limited company which we give authority to do certain things. So sometimes there is a conflict of applications. They can claim. Now we give them authority to claim for non-payment of the parking bay. But the traffic police of the city council then oversee the implementation and enforcement of the rest of the bylaws. So that's where it is conflicts, and they are superior to the private company, because the private company has to report to them, because they are the ones that are empowered with the policing powers in terms of the act. We will endeavor to get those things explained to the public.
But apana way yekuti mapurisa ekangu was as it is progressing or not fix up.
What we're going to do is
because ukamwona mapurisa ekangu ari kutofunga kuti ndokufixa sei.
Yeah, no, that's part of training. Our training features more on physicality. So we are going to put in a bit of software into their training so that they also understand customer relations.
Education requirements
Yeah, ego zvinota kuti form 4.
But vanga basina evidently zvanga zvitoonekwa kuti papasina pashi bozorona munhu achimhanyisa kana gogo mutauni orowa vhiri ende akakudhuma anokuti bva muroji.
Aiwa, eco-textual training, and also our security sector approach. It's supposed to be centered around public safety and the security of the person. But a colonial security sector approach which adopted sees the person as the threat, not seeing itself in terms of securing the individual. So there are new theories around security sector theories and development. Who are you securing? Is it the person? Is it the city? Is it the building? So the all security philosophies hitherto had been in relation to the individual being a threat to the state. So therefore, the first assumption was that the individual is up to no good, must be confined to certain areas, must have a particular pass to move from point A to point B, must move with an identity, must be, the whole thing was meant to restrict an individual from exercising their human rights or individuality within the group. But now it's moving towards allowing an individual to be the one who feels safe within the city or the nation. So if we continue on that theoretical premise, normally it's called security sector reform, security sector studies, and they are not really studied in countries like ours because of the fears and the taboos around in our violent history and the many civil conflicts we have had since independence and pre-independence. So post-independence, we immediately went into the Matabeleland issue, the Kukuraundi and stuff. Immediately after, we had a hiatus from 89. Immediately after 89, just in 1996, we started with the collapse of ISAP and the labor unrest. Immediately thereafter, land reform, multi-partyism. So our security sector.
Inflation. Wow, we've lived. I'm 32 years old.
Yeah.
I was born in 1991. So when you talk about 96, I was turning 5. When you talk about 2000, I was turning 9. 2008, I was turning 16. I've lived a tough life. It's been hard.
So in terms of cycle of conflict, our institutions, particularly the key institutions that deal with the security and freedoms of a person, have not had time to adjust and realign themselves to the realities that are envisaged in the Constitution.
But don't you think 20 years is a long time for one place to be in charge of, like a city, for example? And if the issues you're talking about are cultural, right? Like with the Boys in Blue, you're talking about is their training. But Harare Mayor has been opposition for how long now? Since 2000.
Yeah, but
why has it taken 23 years?
That's what I'm saying, that the municipal police is seen as part of the security cluster. I can tell you how it began. Until up recently, it was run by Brigadier General, retired Brigadier General Chinengundu. It was started by war veterans soon after independence to deal with petty crimes and other issues that were happening in Bari and so forth. And they set up and said that the war veterans that had not gotten into the army, the police and so forth, were then put into the municipal police. And then it operated under that leadership and as a reserve security force, as it were. It is part of our JOC infrastructure and our security infrastructure. So at times it receives and adopts the color and approaches of the main security services. It is tightly controlled because their fear is that it can easily become a contradictory force within a country. So you will find that the security sector is very interested, the central government is very interested in what a municipal police of the size that of Harare does to the citizens and how it runs its operations. But the point is well made. We've been trying to create a reform agenda, a curricula for municipal policing, and also adopting modern methods, and also giving it extra powers than what you have the LAPD has, the Joburg Metro has, the NYPD has, London Metro, and so forth, so that they can start doing other cerebral aspects of security sector like investigating petty crime, because I do believe that the ZRP shouldn't be investigating break-ins, armed robberies, and even things like suicides and so forth. Clear-cut cases. Those ought to be done by a municipal police. We need to have,
I think even stuff like gender-based violence,
gender-based,
etc. I think you want to have that be concentrated in some form.
like traffic monitoring, traffic control. That should be done by a municipal police, like it happens in every country. We leave the ZRP to do the serious, hard-hitting stuff. So these are the reforms, and this is the approach which we need to do going forward. And this is what we needed to effect, what we are going to try to effect across our cities.
Speaking of other things that city seems like had limited control over, the Pomona dump site. What's the? I mean, the basic story is that there was a BOT, right, which is a build, operate, and transfer. Someone was going to build a facility at Pomona. They were going to operate it until they made some money, and then they were going to transfer it, and it was now going to be owned by the city, and whatever money it was making was now going to be made by the city. This is our understanding. This is my understanding. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, the only problem is that the model was skewed. We were supposed to pay rentals, and how do you pay rentals on your own property? We bought the property in the 1980s, around 84 hectares of that property of Pomona Farm. Is the city. It was bought by you, the residents, and it was going to be weird for us to enter into an agreement where the residents pay per month. If somebody is going, it's like asking Zesa asking Wange for its core and asking Wange to pay for Zesa to produce electricity, and then after getting and being told to mukatipa 20 trucks, they call muchabadara Maria cut, and then mufamba to pay minimum mubadara Maria cut. It was weird from the start, and also the model, the feasibility studies. Is there enough rubbish? How many megawatts are going to come out of it as compared to other forms of energy? Solar is becoming a bit more viable. We can do a 33 megawatt station for about 50 million. This one was going to cost 300 million over 35 years. To put it into perspective, the 300 megawatt expansion at Wange was quoted at 365 million US, and you're trying to produce 22 megawatts at 300 something million.
How much was Wignall paid for? Oh, how much was it? Was about 290 or something as well for the power plant in Rwanda. So
for now, a power plant of that size, you need about 40 to 50 million.
Oh, the prices have gone down.
The prices have gone down over technology and so forth. And you have energy. And you finish it in faster time, cleaner energy, you're not burning anything, and
I have a friend, I talk about him all the time. He argues that Zimbabwe has a bigger incompetence issue than it has a corruption issue. So whenever something like this comes up, it's the first thing that comes to my mind. Corruption or incompetence? Is someone just doing a poor feasibility study or both? So in that case, were you saying that was mostly incompetence or was it a money grab?
It was both.
It was both.
Incompetence and corruption makes an explosive cocktail.
And when we talk about cocktails, they never realized that if they were more competent, there would be more to steal.
Well,
and not that they should, but I'm just saying, if you were more competent, if you built a bigger plant, for instance, if you took your 300 million and you built 300, and then you steal the money in my kids, then you didn't get a one. But at the moment, I didn't get markets.
But this is Nigerian style corruption. You see, the money is made in the breach. So what they will do in the old days in Nigeria, they will enter into a contract with someone to build an airport. Let's say this airport will cost 500 million. And they enter into a regional government contract. But the penalty clause will say, if you fail, you give us 80 million. And if you breach. So you as a government, you are given tough payment contracts. So you are damned if you do, damned if you don't. So maybe you are then being asked to pay $1 million US or $2 million US every month. Periodically and on the debt. And you default, you owe them 80 million. So whichever way you lose, this contractor might not do anything, but they make money.
So there are a few of these what's seemingly BOT track contracts. The toll gates were also...
There was a wave. There's a wave of these contracts in here. It actually, our universities do not, and our fraud people do not catch up very quickly. They go and enter into clearly ridiculous contracts, things that this will not see the light of day. And very soon, a local government or central government will realize, oh my God, we are better off breaching this contract because we are paying through the nose and we can't afford these monthly payments, and someone down the line will end up saying, hey, look, let's cancel. Then when you try to cancel, you're told,
there's an 80 million penalty.
You are hit both ways. But things can be done easily if the Attorney General did their job or the due diligence guys did their job. They'll make sure that the contracts are phased in such a way that you don't... Because this basically are people making profit from just having the right access and the pen of paper. And paper. You sign something. These are very lucrative bond papers. Very lucrative.
Like bond notes in 2017.
All you have to do is to put the right people in a room, make them sign, voila. You spend nothing. You wait for their first month's installment. That's what you use to even build your offices, buy your own cars, and so forth. So a person will come to do the contract. Asatani contract, immediately after signing the contract, walked on next day, then the next day, a beautiful assistant, in a nice car. Next time, beautiful assistant, okay, campana.
A beautiful assistant, I know Garababas over 2 I turn over.
So you find good, once you have that kind of contracts, then you are in problems. But it is what it is. Look, I simply, at that time I was in office. It's up to those who are now in office as to their attitude. If they continue with it, cool. That's what the people decided. Maybe I was being overprotective on things that people didn't want protected.
But being a seat of Harare, seat of Harare.
Marriage, must belong to the seat of Harare, to the red pairs.
But you wish I did, Maputo,
vehicle licenses the world over are taken by the city. The cars dzirikufamba muno muroad idzo ndidzo dzinobhadhara mari yekuchengetedza maroads. So zvakaitika in 2009 pane mumwe munhu akanyora futi a piece of paper ndobva ati mari yemazinara iyai yemavehicle license yanga ichiinda kumasiti yakuchiinda kune chinhu chinonzi zinara. Kuzinara ikoko yanga yakakombwa nembavha, makororo nevanhu vakadaro daro. handitika makorona aya nembavha ndobva vaiprosida kupa mari vachitenga vakadzi vakanaka kudarika vevamwe nemamasaji nezvimwe zvinhu zvakadaro nemota nedzimba dzakadini dzakadaro. Izvi zvinhu zviri muaudit report yaauditor general zvandiri kutaura. Vamwe vaitengera vakadzi vavo vhudzi rekubrazil, vamwe vachitenga chii zvichiita zvakadini zvakadaro. Ndobva vatadza kana kugadzira kana road imwe chete kusvika parizvi. Ndokutanga kudya mari iya semushonga wemusana zvisina saka marozi ndobva apera. So iko zvino vari kutora mota dzedu 800,000 vanotora 64 million votidzosera zvipururu zvemari. Zvinova izvo chabuda muaudit report rakabuda kuswera zuro re 1 million US kuti tigadzire road dzese dziri muno muHarare. 1 million US kana uri muconstruction haigadziri kana 3 kilometers yeroad. Asi tinenge tavapa dzvamutsvamu re 64 million. Tovapa futi fuel levy sevagari vemuHarare nokuti tisu tinomwa fuel yakawanda inosvika futi ku 60 million. Votora carbon tax inosvika vokunana 10-15 million. Then isu wewe kana uchibuda muHarare unobhadhara toll gate, kana uchipinda muHarare unobhadhara toll gate. Asi mari iyoyo yokubuda muHarare vanotora, uchipinda muHarare vanotora, havatipi kana senti. Saka hatichina kana chekugadzirisa kana marodhi inotorwa nevarume vanodla mari zvokuti newewe unoshaya kuti vakokakuwa medhalu here, vari kuda kuita sei nenyaya yavo yokuputsa mari. So ndo patiri
hanzi mabhebha ava nebrazilian muso
vakanotora vakatoona kuti vhudzi remunhu haringashandi vandonotora kubrazil vopa madzimai avo. Isusu tosara tisina marodhi kati ruoko rwake rwe ruchifamba zvakanaka mumusoro memusikana wake musina kweko. Saka anokoshesa panofamba ruoko rwake achisanga asingakoshesi panofamba mota. Saka ndo patira. Saka isusu tatine chikumburi, dzosai mari yemavehicle license kumaguta, tigadzire maroads kupa zvatakavapa mari iyoyo. Hapachina kana road 1 yakavakwa muno muHarare since 2009. Vanongotraya kurepair dzatatagara tiinadzo. Havana kana road imwe chete yavakavaka muno muHarare since 2009. Vanovaka road pakati pemagame park kunofamba mhuka nemashumba nechii vachiti kwaitagadzira road yakanaka. Hapana kana mota inofamba kana mota inofamba
kugame park. Asakana kuenda nemukana wake nebrazilian anofamba marodi yakanaka.
Ndaita kuforce ona kuti vakomana vano pashata. Ndane mota yange yakadzoka ichindidhurira ku-expansion. Because iko zvino ndakahwa vachinzi kwai toda kuvaka road inobva kukaroi ichienda ku54. Yakumbirwa nemhuka, yakumbirwa neshumba, yakumbirwa nenzou. Road zino kushaya kuti chii chiri kuitika. But vakatipa izvozvo tinotenga machine kukwari togadzira matombo eroad, totenga an asphalt plant. Iko zvino zvachipa kuchina uko zvakugadzirwa sharaude. Tozvitora izvozvo every day togadzira tara yedu, every day togadzira matombani, torenewa road network yedu, totora mari yematoll gates yemota dziri kupinda muHarare, ivo votora dziri kupinda muhighway. Vatipa idzodzo togadzira mari yedu yemavehicle license togadzira, mari yefuel togadzira, nemari inobva kupocket yenyika vakatipa togadzira. Pane kutipa zvipururu zvemari voti tigadzirai road dzese idzi. Hazvi inonzi chisionekwa chisionekwe mudzi webwe. Saka varume ava vakatooma panyaya dzekubva kumaresidents. Saka ndizvo zvatinofanirwa kunge tichifokasa on as maresidents, kuti hei dzosai mari kukanzuru, hei dzosai magetsi kukanzuru. Yei dzosai chakati kukanzuru. Tochi manager zvakadini? Sei zvazvaingeitwa kupi? Kumashure.
Is there a way yekuti maresident acho titaure nawo totopedza takutomhanya?
You know the problem with Zimbabweans, we are afraid. COVID yakatidzidzisa kuti munogona kuvharirwa munyika menyu. So at the end of the day, we must build our country to the satisfaction. Because you know technology, no COVID. The next thing chichativharira munyika medu technology. Pachauya ndege dzinobhuruka dzega deliver magoods. Yoita U10, yobhuruka yoga ichitora raw materials. Wokuvunza kuti kana usiri domestic worker urikuda kuvigei kuEurope, kana usiri munhu ari kuuya kuzochengetera chembere, kana vakazogadzira marobots anogona kuchengeta chembere dzotadi zvatota. So tinogaritswa muno kusvika tati baba. Saka tofanirwa kugadzira our place. I've traveled all over the world. This is one of the few places where every day is a good day. It rains in the morning, there's sun in the afternoon. It rains in the afternoon, there's good weather in the evening. You see the stars. In other countries, my brother, when it starts raining, it rains for the 2 months. You will see the sun after 3 months. You can't walk out without dying. Unotozonzi mnasi ukabuda ukada kufamba unofa. People are advised to stay in their houses. Otherwise, if you move out, you will die. But here we've got every day, it's a good day.
Yeah.
It rains in the evening, today there's sun.
Yeah.
You know, you're smelling the fresh air, you're even saying, the soil smells nice.
Yeah.
There your nose won't be able to smell. You can't smell anything. It's dark. You know, there are days when you don't know whether it's day or night. But this is a beautiful place. And all we have to do is just to do the right things at the right time. No genius, no works of genius. Nothing. Just do the right thing at the right time. And you will never want to leave this place to go anywhere else. This is not some zero. All we have to do is to have our minds and just kubvisa chikonye chehumbavha chine vakomana vezesa nevakomana vezinara nevakomana vezinwa. Tochibvisa ichocho chikonye chiripo.
So does water work the same way?
The water does the same thing.
So it's not controlled by the city of Harare.
Ona ikazvakaitika ndizvokuti Water Act yedu yakati mvura yose yemuno munyika was the scarce resource inobelonga kuna president. Vati mvura yese inobelonga kuna president. Nyika ino haina kuvaka madhemu muHarare since 1976. But taya nepopulation yekuma 500,000. Iko zvino tava nepopulation ye 3 million.
3
including Chitungiza, Rua, and vanovaka madhemu kune macrocodile nema illegal fishermen. Kunana Tokwe Mukosi. Vakavaka zidhemu rakakura iko zvavachaziti vodini mvura yacho. Minister akaenda kwano tukwa tichai exporta ku South Africa. Mvura yawanda. So ndanga tichitaura nevanhu makurukota ndauya nawawa kuti kana zvanetsa tichatengesa imwe saka vaivakire dhemu vatononda unovhurirwa rimwe dhemu pakati pesango dhemu kana vangachivhura dhemu
riri kwekwe kune marodhi atakavaka
une dhemu zvino vanhu vanototaura kuti taapprova master plan yedhemu ratoapo saka alright kune vanhu vanoda kumwa mvura vari thirsty every day. Hakuna dhemu since 1976. Harare, no dhemu. Kunji dhemu, nothing. Musami dhemu, nothing. Muda dhemu yechitungwiza, nothing. Nothing, no dhemu. 3 million people. Tikungomwa mvura pataisingoimwira paya. Muchekara mwakanao inofanirwa kubva kumarondera uko haisati yavako. Saka, how do you say 40 years population increasing, you don't build a dam for Harare? Asi chinorwadza, mari iyoyo inenge yabva muvagari vechi? We are the most productive.
We haven't had city council water since 2004, but you know better.
Yeah, and we can't drain air. There are no dams. The money is not coming. The fiscus is building madam kwakasiyana siyana. Kwamsingatozivi. Vototi tichaexporta kupi? To South Africa. So the planning is just weird. The money is taken from the citizens of Harare. And that was what I was saying. Could people say that Harare is kutora jese? But Harare is kutorerwa chi? There hasn't been a power station built in Harare. There hasn't been a major hospital built in Harare since before independence. No hospital. Before independence. No hospital. People they are now 3 million. No my schools are my private schools. Hapana munhu uchiri kungoenda ikoko the government schools dzembiri dzichingori Prince Edward nechichi.
Yakunaya mvura kumadrum.
But there is no model government high school that has been built for Harare. Nothing since 40, nothing. The Vana Smith wakamuka varashiki mu street. Anotozoshamsika kuti kumazita muri kupa ma-street edu nhaka. But it's the same street. Same wotozonzi kwa no yakunzi Mutsenganzungu. Mutsenganzungu. Hanzi Mutsenganzungu street.
Aiwa mazita wanopa. Ene mabigs. Enterprise watoda.
Sure. Tingaita nyika yekuchinja mazita. Nekuti hativaki chinhu but tokwanisa kuchinja zita. Yava Mudlamatowe, Mutsenganzungu, Chipazhamongo. Amen kuti zvese chimbofamba sei.
Before we finish, because talking about Tarapana for the whole afternoon, Sikhala has been. You talked about you were in jail for 50 days, so you have better perspective than a lot of us on what that situation is. And he's been there for 1.5 years now. I don't know if you can speak on behalf of CCC or maybe just from your own personal perspective. What is the like?
No, he should be out.
Yeah,
it's
we
very
should
unfair. We should do more. One might not know what it is that we need to do, but really he ought to be out. This is pre-trial incarceration. He has not been convicted in some of the things. When he's convicted, he gets a fine and very light sentences. So it's very, very unfair and unnecessary that he was a member of parliament the time he went in there and his whole term finished whilst he was in jail. And it's the way we treat our elected officials. It is as if we are calling for a case on ourselves. They are treated worse than common criminals. It is easier for a person who has committed a murder to get bail than
And I'm saying that someone like my Titi who's gonna go and have a fantastic time in jail.
But jails should be like that. Our jails are excessively colonial and cruel at times. They must be rehabilitated. It mustn't be a desire to punish, a desire to cause pain, a desire to torture. It then becomes nothing. We then reduce ourselves to a level that we should not be as human beings. And that desire to torture people is unnecessary, uncivilized, and uncalled for.
What was that situation for you like when you were in for the 50 days? From whether it's dietary...
We need to improve our jails. The diet is not good. The sleeping places is not good. There are many. You can be 70 in a small space. The clothing, the smell, the food, the ambience, everything. It's like what you see in those caricatured African movies. I was likening it to a slave ship, where sometimes you're so much that you have to coordinate your sleeping movements. If you are going to turn, you all turn at one time. If you are going to turn the other side, you turn. It's just not the way we should handle our fellow citizens. I mean, no matter the crime. Nelson Mandela used to say, if you want to see the state of civilization of any country, first visit its jails. Then you will know at what level that country is. If you visit our jails, we might be very, very far from civilization.
The final thing would be a projection. It looks like election season is over. Government calls for protests here and there, etc. But for a lot of people, I guess we've just moved on. That way we are going into the next 5 years, try to do our best with whatever it is that's there.
We need to
What's
sit down.
your projection?
We need to sit down as a country. We have not moved on. We're still in the election model. An election is supposed to be a pressure reliever. It is supposed to produce an economy, a renewal of terms, or a new beginning. It must bring hope. It must give satisfaction. So if it doesn't meet the standards, as what happened with ours, then we have a challenge. So the election season is not over. Sooner or later, as a nation, we have to sit down and come up with a solution to the problems that we face, and make sure that we deal with them head on.
Do you have an idea of what that looks like?
They must sit down. The main protagonist must sit down. There must be a dialogue between the opposition and the ruling party, as currently configured in Parliament, and that dialogue must give indicators as to where we go from here in light of the process that we have just gone through. And then that will bring relief to the nation. There's enough space for all of us in the whole state of Zimbabwe to be able to do meaningful contributions to the nation.
So, give up.
Who has given up?
Nelson Chamisa.
Oh, but it's the other side who has to give up. He won.
We're not going down that path. let's save that one for Kuma, thank you so much for coming through. It's been a pleasure. Jay, I said it when we were taking one of our breaks. This has easily been one of my favorite ones that we've shot so far. And we hope to have you again. You see, we didn't ask you where did you go to school, because once you ask you that, then we never actually have you back again. But we're talking about topical issues, meaning whenever the time comes and there's another set to come and
Try to turn it into Rufaro State.
Try to turn it into Rufaro State.
Measure boxing.
Measure boxing,
Cheers. Thank you, man.